Hello, everybody. Now, we've been a bad podcast, and I owe you an apology for that. Griff does too. Um, Basically, we were going to do a show, then we didn't do the show. Life got in the way. Apologies for that. We're allowed a little break. And in terms of breaks, we probably need to revise a slightly different schedule because there's some personal news good news that I have. So we'll figure that out. But we had a little break. We're refreshed. And we're going live with our Seattle Seahawks podcast, Seattle Overload, on a day that is of great national significance to me. It's the UK election, Griff.
Yeah.
Massive day in English history today.
Not to get too political, but I hope the results are good.
Thanks.
Not bad.
Yeah, it's like the only thing I can think of today that is relevant to the United Kingdom and their history, like politically.
Yeah. Nothing.
Yeah. Or Great Britain, if you want to,
All right. So
phrase it that way.
does American Independence Day register at all for you guys across the pond? Does it get any sort of coverage? Anything?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, it registers because on Twitter,
media.
Yeah. So, now, I was wondering, so have you heard of a guy called Guy Fawkes, Griff?
Yeah.
Right. So on Guy Fawkes Day, which we celebrate, occasionally, but basically every town will have like a fireworks display, and then occasionally they will put a effigy of Guy Fawkes and burn him on a fire.
Yeah. I think we had this exact same conversation at Preamble this time last year. And then I think we proceeded to talk about V for Vendetta.
Okay, well, rather than going down that avenue, I was wondering, do you get an effigy of like a red coat and just burn them on a fire?
No, see, we're not about put downs over here. We're just about celebrating us, which means no, I'm just kidding. No, we don't. We don't burn, the lobster backs or anything.
Because what America needs is more hate.
Right. Yeah. We just do our hot dogs and complain about the fireworks traumatizing our dogs and cats.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah,
I think we've had this conversation before.
Yeah,
as well.
any firework holiday, I don't look forward to generally, just because I'm on dog duty, so they don't try to like break furniture and stuff.
That's
but
nice,
yeah. But Matty, do you have anything to say to me about 4th of July? I mean, apologies or good game, anything along those lines?
I mean, you win some, you lose some. Am I right?
That's fair. That's fair. Sometimes you even lose twice.
Yeah, you could. You could.
Yeah.
But it's how you bounce back, and actually, they that was the beginning and the end. If you think about it.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing because, Drift, as a podcast, are we anti-empires?
Yeah, we are anti-empires and
okay, cool.
And exerting hegemony onto other nations and cultures.
It would be so funny if Keir Starmer didn't win his constituency.
Brady, no.
I agree, Brady.
All right, so Matty, did you watch Master and Commander yet?
No.
You've had so much time, bro.
No. Okay, yeah. But
it's
rather than I have a new preamble topic for us.
Okay.
So, by the way, chat, very good to see you in here. I should have acknowledged you a bit more because there was a lot of comments for like the two previous times we were going to go live. Real good conversation happening in there. So, oops. Brandon, we did. So there you go. Now Monjombo's weighing in on this preamble topic, Griff. Now, Griff, if you're offering someone some cake, right?
Yeah.
Would you like okay, how would you then offer the cake to them?
See, I don't want to.
And what? But sorry. Also, should be clear here. By cake, I mean the food substance.
See, I really thought about it, and I think I'm not trying to skirt the premise of the question, but I really feel like I say, "Do you want some cake? Do you want some cake? Some cake?"
Some cake, but that is very. So you'd have someone round for a cup of tea, right, as you do in America,
Mm-hmm.
and you'd have them in to your living room, or you might say lounge, and you go, "Hey, you want some cake?"
See, I think I would say either some cake or a slice of cake. But when I'm actually talking about consuming it, like a literal cake, I say slice. However, the phrase to convey that something was easy, I never say that was a slice of cake. I say that was a piece of cake. That's the only context where I say that, though.
Right. I'm the
How
same.
about
I'm
you?
pleasantly
Are you?
surprised because the results of the poll on X.com that sparked this, 72.9% of people saying that they offer cake by saying, "Would you like a piece of cake?" I mean that
Yeah.
can't be right. Has to be a slice of cake. That brings me on to though.
Hey,
That brings me on to one thing which really annoys me, or grinds my gears, and as we've said, today is a very suitable day to be addressing this. Why, Americans, do you think that British people say a spot of tea? When I was in Mobile, Alabama, there was like I don't know what you'd call it, like a diner, but it
yeah,
did cups of tea and it was called a spot of.
a spot of tea. Interesting.
Yeah, and everyone was like, haha, Matty, you should go there. It's funny, right? Because you guys, yeah,
Yeah,
haha.
yeah,
You get it? Very
sure.
subtle. And I just yeah, that's not something that we say.
You guys don't say a spot of tea,
No.
so that's an Americanism.
I don't think so. It is
No,
probably a very antiquated
because I've never.
British
Yeah, I've never heard it.
saying. No.
Do you ever say colloquially, "Hey Brady, no more crying"? Do you ever say colloquially like a splash of tea?
No.
Never ever.
No.
Are there any more tea isms to indicate that you're having tea? A cup of tea, some tea. Would you like some tea?
A cuppa.
Would you like a splash of tea?
No.
Say
A
splash,
cuppa.
just a cuppa.
Yeah, do you want a cuppa?
Why don't you come on over for a cuppa? Anyway, I'm
Should
gonna
we
let my dog out. BRB.
okay. Chat. While Griff's letting the dog out, do you have any questions? And then we'll actually do the podcast. But questions can be Seahawks related. They can be, an us versus them deal. If you want to ask me for an apology over the events today, I might oblige. I might not. Griff, that was a lot quicker. When you say let the dog out, I didn't know if that was, out the room, out
Out
the
of the room
house,
I'm in.
like a cat. You just let them run around on their own.
No, he just wanted that.
Misfit, good. Can we have a show every week? Yeah, I mean, we should be able to do that. There's
That
no
is
reason we can't.
typically our routine, right?
Yeah, we just got to, as I said, with my personal life change, we'll work out maybe a tweaked schedule. Oh, Monjombo, that is a massive question.
It's a loaded question, isn't it?
It's very loaded. Do you know? Maybe we should answer that on the show.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
we should see.
Monjombo, I've starred that because that's a very good question, and Griff would actually give you more on that than me, probably. So, well, better stuff. Right, should we do this thing?
Let's do it.
Welcome to the Seattle Overload podcast, where Griffin and I are going to be continuing our look at Seahawks 2024 free agents signings. Up next, we have linebacker Tyrel Dodson. Big signing, really, because this is the guy who, if you take Mike McDonald's comments at face value, is their starting Mike linebacker after the departures of Bobby Wagner and Jordan Brooks. That is meaningful given how important linebackers were in McDonald's defense in Baltimore. Roquan Smith, the impact he had, the on-off splits of his acquisition. But before that, we have some Leslie Frazier comments. Now, Leslie Frazier appeared on the Move the Sticks podcast with Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks. And he, spoke about how he's an assistant head coach now with the Seahawks. He's previously held that role while also being a defensive coach with the Colts in 2006 when they won a Super Bowl, actually, and also with the Vikings from 2008 to 2010, and the Buffalo Bills 2020 to 2022. He was the assistant head coach and DC, but now he's purely an assistant head coach, and he spoke about all those things of McDonald's phrased it in the past of him being able to see around corners for him. He said how he enjoys working on offense and defense, but naturally the conversation, given Frazier's playing background, his positional coaching background before he became a DC, turned towards defensive backs. And Daniel Jeremiah asked him a couple of questions. Now, let's start with this one, Griff. So Frazier kind of just unprompted listing out all the DB talent that Seattle has, mentioned how Julian Love is an outstanding defensive back, and I think over time you guys are going to be talking about a lot, or he's a defensive back that they're going to be talking about a lot. That they being the media, which I guess is kind of us. Griff, Julian Love is an interesting player, right? He received an All-Pro vote last year. He is now with the Quandre Diggs leaving and Jamal Adams no longer there. He is the veteran presence on that back end. I feel they value him fairly highly. As well, they clearly do, given how the assistant head coach is talking about him. But someone who we perhaps haven't quite seen the vision with. I mean, Griff, how do you feel about Julian Love?
Yeah, they signed him. He was a good player in New York, but just emphasis on my moderation there. Like, he's just good. He wasn't great. He wasn't bad. He wasn't average. He was an above average player in New York. And then in Seattle, I think he was much worse than he was in New York. And he'd have some games where you'd think maybe he's turning a corner, but it didn't really sustain. There was also no rhyme or reason to when he had a good game. A lot of their second half breakdown, especially against the run and just general explosives, in my view, he was at ground zero for. He was kind of the epicenter of a lot of their problems. I think he was one of the weak links in the coverage. But then, he has a great game against Philly. He has a great game against the Cardinals, I think, to close out the season. So it's kind of challenging to gauge that. So, I mean, in theory, if you have a new coaching staff, you can take his talent and his smarts, because I'm sure part of what fueled Leslie's Frazier's comments there was that he probably kills in meetings on the whiteboard and stuff, right? Because I'd say probably a strength of his game is his football IQ, and you can leverage that the most, in the classroom, right? And maybe like even during walkthroughs in practice where you're more relaxed and who you're playing against, right? Because practice isn't always the same as games. Mm-hmm. So I think it's probably those things. But yeah, I mean, if the vision with him is the new coaching staff can kind of get him back on track to where he was in New York, and play well, right? So it's not entirely surprising. Then the other factor here is that it's just a coach hyping up his players, because why would you do anything else? But I mean, he was fairly effusive in his praise, right? So it's simply we'll have to wait and see with him.
And as Brennan points out in the chat, it's not just Frazier. A bunch of coaches have volunteered Love unprovoked. They've raised him as a positive example. Just the mic'd up segment that was published on the team's YouTube channel of Mike McDonald talking to the safety. It's clear that, I mean, he's going to ask a lot of the safeties in terms of the checks and almost playing, communicating like a linebacker might in an old school defense. And I think Love's intelligence on the field, his smarts, how much he's dialed into the system is a real kind of positive they're looking to accent. And then the fact that McDonald's defense is going to be versatile. They're going to be doing a lot of different things. They're going to try and be multiple, and they're going to ask Love to do a bit of everything, which in their minds, combined with the intelligence he has, second year in a different place in Seattle. He's only 26 years old still. He's probably viewed as an ascending player, and if they want it to look good on the back end, he's going to be a guy they're leaning on heavily. Like you said, last year, it's not that Seattle's defense didn't do a bit of everything coverage wise, but they got fairly static towards the last half of the season in terms of quite predictable. Their variety of calls was way down up front, and on the back end it was fairly predictable, and they had some limitations in their linebacker personnel, which hey, maybe that links into this episode too, but they were limited in what they could run with Bobby Wagner in there.
And also in response to the run defense tanking, right? Because that will limit your menu, your menu of coverage calls too. So
but what it felt like what we saw from Love was, he'd play kind of disappointing as a cover 3 safety down in the box, like struggle with seam matches, and then occasionally they'd spin him high to keep a team, honest. But
well, see, that's the thing with him. I mean, he's not really a good box safety in the traditional sense of the term. Like in theory, he can be decent at coverage out of the box.
Yeah, I think what they would like about him in the box is more what he was doing, as you referenced his time in New York with the Giants when he was in that Martindale defense, which obviously McDonald's heavily influenced by a very similar system. Just they won't cover zero all the time. There's more implied pressure, but yeah, when Love was in the box there, that's when he was blitzing and his ability as a blitzer, and that's something that Seattle didn't really tap into last season.
Yeah, at least not with him.
And his intelligence to disguise stuff. No, not with him. It was the Witherspoon thing. Brooks and Wagner were there. Second level blitzing options, and their scheme ultimately was way too... it lacked answers down the stretch. Teams worked them out, and that was that.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the Julian Love comment. Now, the second comment is, if anything, even more interesting. And again, Frazier clearly was excited about his DBs. He had no reason to say this, but he did. So he was asked about shutdown cornerbacks by DJ. Specifically, when the context of the conversation was shutdown cornerback being someone who can travel and follow a team's number one wide receiver. And Frazier said a lot of interesting things about what he looks for and everything about that. But what stood out to me was he said, we would do it with Tre'Davious White in Buffalo, and hopefully we'll be able to do it with Riq Woolen. I think we will be in Seattle. Which, you think about a guy who can shadow a team's number one receiver, and a lot of the time you'd wonder if that was Devin Witherspoon. Given, how impressive he looked, his ability, which he already established last season, to play in the slot, but also on the left-hand side of the field. Spoon seemed like the obvious guy who could shadow guys, almost like a Jalen Ramsey did with the Rams a few years back now. But for him to volunteer Woolen, who we theorized, Griff, could be a guy on the, maybe somewhat in trouble, and he still could be, right? But it's clear Frazier sees the vision of the length, the height, the speed, what he showed as a rookie, the production he had on the football. That is a kind of... It's reassuring that he's feeling that positive about Woolen, given how the season went for Woolen last year, the benching, the poor tackling, the regression, the inability to refine the technique, and then some rumblings we had heard about maybe not being the best pro last season and maybe not being a good fit for the McDonald stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's great that he's swinging for the fences, though. Like, I like Frazier's style, I like his MO, even though his personality is kind of he has a reserved affect. I like that he's typing all his players up. And that should be the attitude with Tyrel Dodson.
Yeah,
he's way too talented to not speak about him that way.
That's how a coach should be, right?
Yeah, I would think. I mean, you would know yourself. I mean, you want to think with a positive accent toward all this stuff. He has the talent to do everything Tre'Davious White did, right? Now, what's interesting, like you said, is that he said this about Woolen and not Witherspoon. I think that speaks more to the fact that just in their minds, Witherspoon's going to have a hybrid role, playing outside and inside, whereas Woolen is going to stay either on the right side or kind of to the boundary frequently.
This was in the context of a guy who follows the team's number one receiver. And when Tre'Davious White and a lot of their game plans, he did move around the formation a lot.
Yeah. And that idea is contingent on how much man coverage a team plays. I mean, McDonald's still a zone guy at the end of the day. He likes his cover one package and his blitz package, right? But it's not something they're going to be doing all day long. You can still get single coverage in zone, as we know, like cover 3, 80% of what you're doing is man enough. Cover 4, even the same thing. Woolen was good at that stuff still last year too. It was just anytime he wasn't doing those things.
Yeah, so I think really the interpretation of the comment isn't necessarily it's more, a bit like how Seattle used Woolen, particularly that first year when it was actually going well, but where they would, on the backside of concept, they would have him just play press man on a guy, whereas if that's Trey Brown on the backside of concept, you might, in a split safety defense, you might choose to help him a bit more. You might play a cloud over there, or you might not play press man style technique. You might play off and have the safety in the quarter kind of doubling the one, rather than have him go over to the other side of the field. Whereas Woolen, if you can eliminate that backside, which is what he did when he was at his best, I think that's really advantageous for your kind of defensive game plan. And Spoon, it made me wonder if they've kind of thought, hey, Spoon is taken to this so well, he can do everything, but how we're going to get the best out of him is in that nickel role, where we saw what Kyle Hamilton did in that. He's obviously a very different type of player to Kyle Hamilton, but Hamilton's importance to the McDonald's scheme was absolutely massive, and Spoon, despite his lighter stature, he was able to hold up against the run and be almost an every down nickel for Seattle, albeit he did play some perimeter corner. But yeah, it really kind of emphasizes Spoon being used in that nickel role. But ultimately, just understandable Frazier's so excited about all the DBs because they have real ability to play matchups, particularly of their corner group. They've got bigs, they've got smalls, they've got insides, they've got outside, they've got guys who can do a bit of both. They've got a ton of talent, and how that looks and how that meshes with this safety group of kind of, they've done a bit of everything. They're maybe not the top end safeties, but they have versatility. They're used to disguise. That is going to be a fascinating dynamic to this unit.
Agreed. It is a diverse group, so.
There you go. Right, so, Griff, Tyrel Dodson. So you suggested that we were watching an under center game, but I've typically just picked a Bengals game, which maybe isn't the best because the Bengals offense is a bit weird in that it's very shotgun heavy. It's quite spread out and whatnot. But
still good opportunities for coverage, though.
Right. If anything, it gives you a real glimpse of the coverage and their run concepts. They've run a bit of duo and they've run a bit of inside zone, so you kind of get that downhill nature of a linebacker in there. Now, the reason I picked the game is this is a game where Dodson, it was week 9 of the season, and he played in 96% of the defensive snaps. That was his highest snap count on the year. He was a kind of bit part starter. In this season, he had 10 starts last year. And this is really, when it comes to Dodson, it's an opportunity for him to kind of prove that he can be an NFL starter. He has an almost open path to the roster spot. The contract he signed. Well, Griff, what was your reaction to this type of thing? Because obviously it's difficult not to factor in the fact that Jordan Brooks has departed in free agency, and you're ending up with a guy who's, 26, an undrafted free agent who has been a kind of bit part role player, and you're signing him for 1 year, $4.260 million deal, which has, it's not fully guaranteed. So $1 million in fully guaranteed money. I mean, how did you feel about this initially? We talked about it at the time, but well, maybe a better question then is: are you more positive about this now than you were when we were like, "Ugh, the linebacker room is a problem"?
About the same. I think the move in and of itself. Well, no. The move in context is fine, given who was available, given the things that had happened prior to that point. $4 million seemed a little more expensive. Like they were like betting on it. Kind of signaled that the draft, instead of it being like 1 year, 1 or 2 million, that kind of signaled that they weren't really going to put too many chips into the draft basket as far as acquiring a real linebacker goes. But it feels like with the moves they made at linebacker throughout the whole offseason, honestly, it looks like the Seahawks are entering the cycle at linebacker that the Ravens entered as soon as CJ Mosley left their roster, their team back in 2018. And if you look at the Ravens rostering at linebacker, when even McDonald was on the team, they didn't get their linebacker situation right until they traded for Roquan Smith, and they entered really year 4 for Patrick Queen before he became the player that he is. So, I mean, or you could say the second half of his third season. So for Queen, so it's with Dodson. I mean, if you're painting in really broad strokes, what he is, at least to this point in his career, what he has been, he's been a 2-down run thumper. He's slow. He's really aggressive against the run, which is great when it's a run. It's not great when it's a play fake. I think he's slow to key in coverage, and then when he isn't, I don't think he's very talented in coverage. That doesn't mean, coaching can still do a lot, right? But it's not like he had bad coaching in Buffalo. Buffalo has great defensive coaching staff. And Buffalo made every excuse not to play him on passing downs. In nickel situations, they played dime and just took him off the field. That was even after all their injuries at linebackers. So, they were signaling, insofar as that can signal anything, that they were signaling that they're like, yeah, this guy's not a 3-down player. But, Mike McDonald might think differently. He might use him in different ways.
Yeah, when you talk about an early down thumper, and I promise you, chat, we're going to look at the tape, but when you talk about an early down thumper, Dodson's play style, there are similarities to what he's showing and what Tyrese Knight showed at UTEP. There's clearly they're putting an emphasis on that first, second down. They can stay square. They're okay flowing to the ball. They can play A gap to C gap. They can play, almost gap and a half or stack the gap and then fall back if necessary. They can do that type of stuff. Okay. Dodson obviously is an NFL vet, so he's a bit more advanced than Tyrese Knight, but there's a certain type to that. And then I wonder if on third downs or the more passing downs, right now, obviously you'd like some linebackers who could cover better, but there's probably a line of thinking where it's like, hey, maybe we could put a safety in here. We could get into dime. We get a bit more coverage out of that. Or how about we just forget about, we take a load off the coverage by, we're going to put everyone up at the line and we're going to show a lot of pressure. And we might not send it, we might back out, but we're just going to make sure you can't pass protect to get the tricky concepts on linebackers, which some of which take, time to develop. It's kind of a second window type throw, which, if you're getting breaking the pass pro, you're rushing forward and getting someone lined up on your free rusher matched up on the running back. Well, that might be all right. So I think it's just, what's important for them, in year one of the McDonald system, it is linebackers who are okay against the run. That's their probably, that's their positive, being like a north-south type, get downhill, find the football and hit, stay square, be strong into points of contact. And then the passing stuff, well, our emphasis year one is going to be how we send pressure and how we simulate pressure and our pressure concepts. And if that isn't good enough, well, that's not okay. But if the coverage isn't good enough, we can live with that because we know that's somewhere we can upgrade, and it's helped by the pressure. So it's just the order of business they've chosen.
Right. Agreed. So we'll simply have to see it play out. There is, like you said, there is a way to optimize his skill set. If there's a scheme tweak, they rely more on being not just a heavy simulated pressure team, but also just a blitz heavy team, pressure heavy team in general, where they just have him attacking the line of scrimmage, because that certainly would accentuate his skill set the best. But there are pitfalls to that. That means you're putting a lot of stress on your secondary. Well, that just so happens to be the strength of the defensive roster, is that they've got defensive backs that can mark up guys. They've got depth at corner. It's a little iffy at safety, but in man coverage there are ways to, depending on how you choose your matchups. So I don't know. Well, it's simply wait and see, right? I do think, though, that all said and done, and the tape will kind of show why. I do think all said and done, they're going to be working the phones and try to find a trade partner for an established linebacker somewhere across the league, all the way up until the trade deadline.
And on that subject, Griff, an interesting video of Geno Smith in a workout throwing a ball to...
It is interesting. Quincy Williams.
Why haven't you suggested that?
It's fascinating. That's all I'll say. It's very interesting. It's very interesting that Geno Smith was working out with current Jets Pro Bowl linebacker Quincy Williams.
After being told by the coaching staff or challenged by the coaching staff to take the next step as a leader and be the real leader of the team.
It's very interesting.
He's recruiting.
He's never been a Pro Bowler. Wow, he did get all pro honors. So I watched, just real quick, I did watch Quincy Williams. He's not like a fake like PFF concoction of a linebacker. Like, he's actually like good. He's pretty cool. I actually think he's better than Patrick Queen. Very similar player. He's like what Patrick Queen always should have been, and like is just now becoming, rather. So maybe they're the same now, but Quincy's a real deal player.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. It's another reason.
Well coached the Salah, the Pete Carroll tree.
Well, the whole Carroll tree, they coach linebackers the best, and that they actually require their linebackers to be good, otherwise the scheme doesn't work. But they place tremendous stress on the linebackers, therefore they have to coach the shit out of them. Like, look at D'Amico Ryans in Houston. Like, Christian Harris is like coming into his own now. Blake Cashman had the best season of his career. Ken Norton Jr., whoever he coaches, does something right at linebacker anyway. The Jets, Robert Saleh had great linebackers in San Francisco, and it just so happens to have great linebackers in New York. Granted, CJ Mosley's always been good, but anyway, I think the Carroll tree is at the top of the food chain in terms of coaching linebacker principles. So at least in coverage, but.
Yeah, and I think part of that's how good the front system is at stopping the run, right? Like, conceptually. But anyway, enough about Pete Carroll.
Well, yeah, if the front system kind of takes pressure off of the linebackers against the run, it makes it simpler and easier.
You're therefore helps the coverage. Yeah.
It helps the coverage. So you could even say, Pete Carroll's cover 3 is too run focused. In some ways, it allows the individual players to be more heavy on their pass key. It makes the coverage easier on the individual players, even though the play call on the whiteboard is less friendly against the pass. It's all perspective, really.
Yeah. Anyway, Mike McDonald. Monjumbo asking, did McDonald already say that Dodson is going to be the green dot? Wouldn't it be awkward to replace Dodson before the season after saying that publicly? I must have missed that. I know that I don't think that's been said. I know that Schneider said that both Baker, the other linebacker signing in free agency, and Dodson have previously worn the green dot role, but I don't think the green dot's been established yet. And honestly, the way that McDonald's interacting with Julian Love, with the fact that in the Raven system, is it Chuck Clark's worn the green dot? Another one of the safeties did, I think, as well at times. Riq Woolen did for a while. Is that the right name? I think it is. I believe the safety, Julian Love, will be the green dot wearer. But we'll see. We'll see.
I think you're right.
Think about the guy who's not going to come off the field in any of the snaps. Because Dodson, with what we're seeing, and we'll get to it, and we're about to get to it, but I don't think he's an every down player.
I'd be shocked if he was, but...
Yeah.
Baker can be, but we also don't know what his health situation is. He has injury history, so
we have to watch him a bit later. But the final thing with Dodson before the tape, Griff, he had a 90.2 overall PFF grade, which was higher than Fred Warner's 89.8. He also had an 88.4 coverage PFF grade, which was higher than Fred Warner's 82.3. And he had a 13.7% missed tackle rate per PFF, which was lower, which is a good thing, than Fred Warner's 15%. Griff, have the Seahawks actually, gone into the analytics here and picked out an absolute bargain of a linebacker who's the best in the world? Or are we going to see on this footage the limitations of what PFF is doing in their grading? And, it's a completely valid metric, but it's not the end all and be all, is it?
So PFF grades only measure what they're asked to do. So if you're asked to do a bunch of low level difficulty stuff, and where there isn't a lot of room to do something wrong, then it's kind of like looking at I don't know if I've used this metaphor yet.
Oh, here we go. But metaphor.
It's kind of like looking at a team's like backup center where in NBA, in basketball.
Oh, right.
And they've got like a 70% field goal percentage, and they only take 4 or 6 shots a game, and all their shots are just putbacks or layups, right?
Right.
It's saying, oh, you got to feed this guy in the post. Look at his efficiency. It's the PFF grade isn't trying to. You can't fault it for something it's not even trying to do, but it's not saying like he's being asked to do high value things. It's just this for the same reasons that Bobby Wagner graded out so highly in 2022 with the Rams. And when you look at the tape, they're hiding him in the flat all day long, babysitting running backs in the check down. That's not make or breaking a defense.
No. And, to your point about sample size, as you referenced, I mean, this is a game where he played 96% of the snaps. I believe they had some injuries, right? Matt Milano went down, I don't know what week, but he had an ACL injury last year, right, for the Bills. But, the coverage grade's going to be better if you're not getting put in the pure passing situations as much. Like you're getting easier assignments again, less stressful assignments, or less stressful scenarios, I should say. Right, the tape. Here we go.
Finally.
Whoa. Okay, that's quite passive aggressive.
No, not toward you. I'm calling both of us out. I am the audience's id.
Right. Okay. You're wearing many hats.
I'm always looking out for the audience.
Okay. Okay, so we'll cycle through. It won't take too long. Now, the first thing to address is NFL number change. So Dodson is confusingly wearing a number in the 20s. 25, that's right. So annoyingly, he's not playing the Mike spot. Now, we should probably, as we're watching this, explore why McDonald referenced him as the Mike and Jerome Baker as the Will. In my mind, it's a case of they'll pick and choose spots for each, but it's like an early down Mike thing where if you're thinking about just generally a guy who's going to be in under to the bubble, he'll run down and fit the bubble hard. you're almost keeping him in less space in the early downs at Mike because of how the defense is structured.
So it's man coverage here, cover one. At least they're presenting that.
Yeah.
So
they get
blitzing
quads. Yeah. So one thing in this game in particular is we saw quite a bit of Dodson blitzing. Even in the thumbnail, right? He's in a double A gap mugged up front, which every team runs, including Mike McDonald. But now you like the other Buffalo linebacker, right, Griff?
43, Tyrel Dodson. Yeah, he's really.
You don't mean Tyrel Dodson.
I mean Terrell Bernard. Sorry.
Right.
43. Yeah, Terrell Bernard, 43. He's the real deal. He's like he's styled like Fred Warner, not nearly as good, but like if Fred Warner was merely a Pro Bowler instead of like the best of all time, that's Bernard.
Yeah. So here he's to the center slide, so not much doing. Good job in pass pro. Now, this is an under center look, which is screaming from the splits like a duo type run. I don't know anything, though. It's play action. And he's sort of in this low
curl flat player
difficulty, boundary, so less space, curl flat player where he's off the football. Any NFL player should be able to play this.
Yeah.
Be able to do this.
And so what happens, he gets a lot of plays on the ball because this is a screen here, but if you freeze that picture right there, the ball will just get checked down and he has an easy tackle. It's like tackle as caught. And he's got like 20 tackles like that on the season.
And tackling, obviously there's value to tackling in space, but if you are properly visioning the QB as he is here and breaking on the throw of the football, you should be able to just get a head start and run through the guy. Yeah. And I think Buffalo's and this is also something that McDonald will ask of this type player. But right now he's playing more like a Will would get the assignments in McDonald's defense, not a Mike. And go ahead.
I was going to say Baker has more snaps playing Mike than Dodson does in his career. So I hope Schneider's comments aren't,
Well, as McDonald said it as well.
Yeah, strange. I do think it signals that they view Baker as the long-term Will. They want him there, and Dodson's a placeholder for more, a better, yeah.
And that's reflected, obviously, in just how much the pair of them got paid, right? What Baker's on more money, longer contract.
Yeah. All right.
So just blitzing into a bear look here. So just becoming the edge player. I mean, it's fine.
Yeah.
There are some more impactful plays, chat, in a second. If you have any questions, please, it's great to have so many of you in here live. Please ask questions about his game or a particular play that we go through too quickly. So this is very good diagnosis of the play. This is kind of the vision. Now, linebackers bump over with the motion. So now, essentially... Well, I don't know what... Yeah, okay, so gap-wise, he has this... I'd need to look at the coverage, actually. Is that safety involved?
It's probably weak insertion, yeah. So the safety is going to be the force player, the edge setter, essentially.
Yeah. And then he's playing the QB? Or is he...
Yeah. Surfing. Yeah. So then the second level pulls the chain. So Dodson would need to keep inside leverage on 73, but 73 gets kind of caught up, so he's just playing the ball, which is fine, improvising on the run. It was good that he did it that way.
It's just the way he flows to this football, sees the back counter step, is cognizant of the pulls, or probably just the pull, but then the downhill path, recognizing the play, efficiency, and look how square he is. He's looking to use his hands to keep his chest clean, and he's able to rip through the pull and make the tackle, finish, make a play, not just get blocked, but actually make the tackle. And a big thing in this Ravens defense is don't get blocked. African Achilles, good question. Do you think there's some skill overlap between Dodson and Baker, similar to the safety situation? I think there's certainly things both of them can do. Yeah, I think there is some, but I think it's also a case of you're going to want Baker in certain spots for when you're running certain plays because he's the better player. And you're, or if you're viewing it in a negative way, you're going to want to keep Dodson out of certain spots because he's the lesser player.
Yeah.
Similarly, how much of a better blitzer is Baker than Dodson? I actually, you might be able to argue that Dodson might be like an equal blitzer to Baker, and then it's a case of, do you want Dodson back in the coverage or do you want Baker back in the coverage? You probably want Baker back in the coverage, so you're probably going to send Dodson. There's that type of thing going on there as well.
Yeah.
But they're both kind of lighter types as well. To African Achilles' point about skill overlap, there's like some weight overlap, but Baker's kind of leaner and taller, right?
Yeah. I think Dodson's intended to be more higher density player,
which again is more of a Mike.
Yeah.
I mean, like generally. That's a really nice play.
Yep.
Now I think this is a bad play. Oh no. That's fine.
That's fine. He's keeping cover 2, so he's keeping inside leverage on the seam.
Has to prevent that, right?
Yeah, so that's something he's not great melting back with benders, but I think he's reading the quarterback well enough.
Yep, good setting up with the QB. Back foot hit. Front hand's coming off the football. His back foot hits. The transition is slightly clunky coming down. That's fine, yeah. And not afraid to hit, although that's kind of a crazy... He's trying to deliver a hit stick rather than just make a normal tackle, which is cool. Fairly good speed. Okay, so what we got now? 1st and 10. Same blitz coming off the edge. Nearly got a sack here. Just a dip and ripper along the edge means it gets a pull, so you should be.
Yeah, it does show his flexibility coming downhill. Like he does shrink and reduce. And generally with blitzing, it's the scheme's doing the heavy lifting, but occasionally you're gonna have to deal with contact. So whatever you can do to help yourself is obviously a good thing for a second level defender. It's just not crucial to it's not crucial to have a pass rusher's skill set, I think, as a second level blitzer, but it helps certainly.
Yeah, nice rip. And like when we watched Raytron Jenkins, think about here how many different assignments we've seen Dodson play in. He's getting a lot of different types of usage, and we think about the multiplicity that's going to be, we presume, in this defense, and maybe the players lining up in different positions at different times, and that skill overlap African Achilles spoke about. It's clearly something that they saw in the players they were signing, not just at safety, but I think what they're looking to do with their linebackers.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to ask different things of them. What are you drinking, Griff? No free ads, but
Trader Joe's sparkling watermelon lemonade water. No free ads.
okay. Is any good?
Yeah, it's good. I like it. I like Trader Joe's sparkling water.
Nice. And you'd really like it if they sponsored the show.
Yeah, that would be even. I don't think they do that though. Their business model is very unique. I think they own like a huge percentage of the supply chain. So anyway,
right.
they've that previous play. I think that was a play of note. Not that one. It was a coverage rep, I think.
Really?
Yeah, right here.
Oh, you're right. Sorry.
So what do we have? What?
He gets. This is a
He's
blitz.
a weak foot.
He's blitzed, Griff.
Oh, my bad.
You're trying to blame this DN
I
drop
thought that
on
was
him.
Dodson. Yeah. Oops.
This is okay. Good eyes to the QB seeing pass, eyes to the threats, checking your mirrors, eyes back to the QB relating to the threats. It's red zone, or goal line, so you should be able to do good here, but good drop. Remember that play though. Right, I think this is the drive where things start going a bit awry. Good sail technique here, as in pop the hip open, vision on this guy, because if he's going upfield and out, that's my first threat. Flipping back to the quarterback, seeing him look away, but he is in a good position here for this and this. I mean, it's, again, stuff that pretty much every NFL player should be able to do well, but he can do it. Or every second, third level player. And it's also stuff that McDonald's going to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is a bit ropey, but it's a tough play because they're really hard selling that. And they're in middle field open defense, right?
Yeah, it's not good though. I mean, they get strong flow, right? All four eligibles going one direction, but those are high hats. Look at the back path. I know it would be a toss, but he's the backstop of the defense against play action here, and is kind of dead to the world a little bit.
Yeah, because like how different is what he's doing here? Because they're playing cover 4 on this side, guys, and they're playing 2 over here, and this is Jamar Chase. So this guy is not going to be asked to nail down on a crosser over here. They want to get a double on Chase, which why wouldn't you, right? So really, the guy who can stop this play is, it's all well and good saying you're going to drive on that, right? But really, the guy who can make this play is this dude, right? Like he's almost like cover 3. We talk about how he's the 4 to the first crosser, right?
Right.
They get 4 over here, and this is the first crosser. So that is probably. I mean, it would be nice if he could have keyed, as Griff's saying. Look how flat these guys are. That's not a run. This type of thing, I guess, is his key. So maybe, but again, it's so flat. But it's also over eagerness to make a play. Because that would never be his play to make.
And I will say this is a theme with him. Like he gets sucked in on play action a lot. Like
we're not just picking on one play.
You can say pretty confidently like he's not good against play action.
Yeah. And does McDonald, the linebacker coach, see the run traits and the willingness to hit and the journey from being an undrafted free agent to being a role player to becoming a starter for the last 9 games of the season and think, you can take the leap, I'm going to coach you up. I'm sure there's an element of that, just like with the Tyrese Knight stuff, where there's some real rawness, but there's a foundation to the game.
Right.
That, is intriguing. Again, staying square. I mean, that's pretty good. Contact willingness and not getting knocked over. Good stout base. To not really move when you get a it is a tight end, but that's pretty good. Nice foot triangulation and shoulder contact.
Mm-hmm.
Inside foot coming up as he strikes.
He doesn't lose any width, so.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty damn impressive. That gap doesn't really move.
It's good for
the whole tight end's not a good blocker there, but...
No.
Jeez.
He's quick, man.
So quick. He's their player, huh?
Yeah, he and Milano will be a heck of a duo this year if Milano comes back the same.
Okay, so playing RPO. We don't know what their defensive rules are, but I guess the pressure is supposed to take care of this. And it's Chase, so...
He does a good job keeping his leverage.
I like the kind of T-step to maintain and be right in the slant window, and also understanding that they love running that quick little glance off this RPO action, so he kind of knows what route he's getting. Smart.
Implies tape study, right?
It does. Now here playing on the edge, which again, McDonald... Well, he actually didn't run like 3 guys down here and then edge and edge, right, in Baltimore.
Yeah.
But in Seattle with their personnel, he might do that. Typically, he'd have in Baltimore, he'd have Clowney as a 3-tech standing up. I mean, it doesn't really matter, but just thinking about Seattle's edge group, there's not anyone who's going to be playing on the inside in a rush situation, standing up. Maybe they mess around with Draymond Jones like that.
Yeah.
But
I mean, they can always do some super exotic stuff occasionally here and there.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, sure.
It'll be a one-off thing for the most part. Look at that blanket coverage.
What concept is this though?
From Cincinnati.
It's horrid. Against man?
Yeah. That's not a well-timed play call at all. Is that arrow bow?
With this option to break back because it's man? I think it is, right? That's the arrow and here's the bow, and that guy would... Yeah, I think you're right. Horrid. I mean, I guess you got to throw that, right?
Probably. It's the only option Joe has, but...
Yikes. Interesting how he rushes here with the heavy to the... Yeah.
It's a good rep from Terrell Bernard.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this.
It's just a numbers thing to influence the protection, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So now in the A gap, which I believe this is the thumbnail. Again, he's not on the field, so it wouldn't be the thumbnail. So this is, as I said, he played 96% of the snaps. This is one of those 4%. Okay, this is the I think this is the problem.
It's a little awkward coming down.
Yeah, just overruns the
It's almost too much quarterback vision, right?
Yeah, he never. So the problem here is, he checks Chase. He sees Chase vertical, eyes back to the QB. He's thinking, dig, right? Like hold off that dig, hold off this seam, chase, chase, chase. But he's never, ever, ever seen this guy. Now the corner has to be calling under, 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 or in, or whatever to let him know that this guy's going to be crossing face. But there is no harm in actually. He's a lot of QB vision, but because of all that, he never saw this, so his aiming point's off and he overruns the play.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a very unusual route in that it's not unusual. Loads of teams do this, but typically that would be run like at 5 yards. That almost breaks at 4.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of that's just football kind of play. He does have some of these. He's not like a great open field, lots of space kind of ball tracker and tackler. But like that's okay. Like there are linebackers that are good that aren't necessarily amazing at that.
Right.
But it does show up in coverage though. Like the reason why he's not great in coverage, it is part of the reason why is because of traits. So there is a play later on in this game where
we'll get there.
This game. It's been a while since I watched it though.
One being on the ball here makes that a tougher break for him as well, because it's just further downfield than he thought. To quicker to break across him. So they're pressuring him quite a bit. And they're not doing a very good job in terms of the Bengals are picking that up while releasing their back. So the Bengals O-line is doing a pretty good job. So this is, Griff, would be one of your kind of easy assignments, right? Where the back is not a primary option. And this would get graded as a good coverage rep, right? Like he's on the upfield shoulder of the swing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a swing. It's not like this is Christian McCaffrey where he's gonna have an option to break it. This is just a like basic ass swing designed to stretch and open a window here against zone, really. But
right,
like this is a very simple scenario for him. It's like even the route isn't even run at a proper speed. Like it's jogged out there.
Yeah.
It's like a check and release.
The sample of plays where they ask him to do more important things is just so narrow. There's commentary in that, and then of course that sample, if you look at it, it's not that great either.
Yeah, and of course you have to find the way for a player to get on the field, right? Especially an undrafted free agent, you've got to craft a role for them to, see action without exposing them.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe there's a time where you can ask more of him. But then this is the NFL, and it could just be okay. Again, another very easy example where, Burrow's looking away. He doesn't throw that ball. I can now recover. I'm playing man on this guy if he runs out. I wonder if he's green dogging or he'd just be a rat if that guy didn't come out the backfield. It seems like they're waiting for the back out and then going with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he was green dogging there, but Belair probably gets a positive grade, even though, yeah, not too difficult. So what do we have here? What's the coverage? Dublin chase? No. Like 0? No, some goal line thing. It's like split safeties, isn't it? That's a right.
Yeah.
So, but like
it'd just be red 4.
But they're expecting duo, so they're thinking we need to get an extra guy in the C gap. That's a tough. That's tough. When you get double on your nose like that, and then you're saying he's playing for this, right? And they just run inside zone up in the B gap.
Yeah. I mean, is the safety really the B gap player?
I don't know. Well, you think we think it's hold on, let's go to this angle. So we think it's safeties in here, I'm here, I'm playing off this, I'm the extra here or here. You think it's that?
Maybe.
The way he stacks his nose is like he's. I mean,
Yeah,
they're just playing for duo.
Yeah.
Goal line thing, but the safety definitely looks for the in of like the fade of. Look, he's looking at Chase. He doesn't play like a B gap fitter would.
Yeah.
I don't know. All right, some more coverage stuff. Brandon saying the problem is Dodson will face Christian McCaffrey.
And Shanahan and a lot of under center from the Rams and the 49ers.
That's this is just the challenge for McDonald's defense in general. Like they're going to be coming up against some very different types of offense in that they're going to be multiple tight ends. They're going to be one tight end, two running backs, and they're going to do all the run game stuff, very effective run game, very efficient run game stuff. And then off that, all the play action and fakes with that. And that generally has required from teams around the NFC West and the NFL base personnel stuff that, base personnel defense. And
yeah,
that's not what McDonald did last year. So going to be an interesting battle. He didn't need to do it last year.
It's a heck of a play. So he is comfortable coming downhill and being physical downhill.
Yeah, understanding Chase is the danger man. Good patience, because it would be easy to just fly all the way downhill and kind of get yourself in some trouble. Just poise here and very good inside-out tackle and adjustment to the cut-up field, because Chase is pretty stop-start. He's a sudden playmaker. And good wrap to finish the tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Which, again, Seattle's tackling last year is not good enough. I think Dodson generally is a pretty solid tackler. And he's on man here. This might be one of those simple assignments we were speaking about. Yeah, right. So he gets like the worst fade route ever on like a guy who just knows he's not getting the football. So
handoff anyway, so.
Okay. RPO.
Yeah.
Damn, they get gashed. What goes wrong here? Oh, they're in an exotic thing.
Just wrap to the bubble.
They had a B gap issue.
B gap issue.
Calm down. Misfit, what do you need propane for? I mean, there's a few things, I imagine.
It's the 4th of July. It's a very 4th of July.
Everyone needs propane. What, because you're grilling on your propane?
Okay, motion pulls him out of the fit. Nope, it's a handoff anyway.
Fine. I just know we're going to get to that play. This is almost a great play. This might be the thumbnail. So we're mugged up again. McDonald's going to do this. 6 guys down. Idea again. You're gonna get some one-on-ones up front. You're making it very hard in the center. You're probably gonna have to in pass pro move this running back up here, and then you can block this up easy. You can do things where you read the center slide, and if he slides to you, you drop out, and if he slides away from you, then you rush. You can do all sorts of stuff like that. McDonald will show this and rush only 4 guys from it, so he'll drop over here and do stuff like this. But anyway, they've run the ball here, which that'll happen. This is pretty impressive. Stack and then Shed just didn't quite get on the tackle, but I mean, it wasn't, it's 2 gaps over.
Mm-hmm.
Not really getting moved much by a center. It's real good hand placement, locking out, strike and Shed, trying to make a play. So, Griff, are we suckers in terms of our linebacker evals in that are we overrating coverage importance from linebackers?
Sharing a division with Kyle Shanahan, I don't think so.
And Sean McVay.
And Sean McVay. I mean, Kyle especially builds it well. Both of them do. Both build their play action and drop back concepts out of taking advantage of crappy linebacker play. So no, I don't think so. It's all about if you scheme like the linebackers matter, then the linebackers matter. If you want to scheme like they don't matter, then your other players have to matter a lot. But his scheme calls a lot on the linebackers in coverage. At least it did in Baltimore. So
right.
It's just tricky. It's just, I mean, he knows Tyrel Dodson can't do what Roquan Smith can do. So, and this idea of we'll just use them what they're best at. Well, of course, but there's knock-on effects of that. There are downstream effects of that.
It's like an empty cover 3 check.
3 buzz, late rotation, 3 buzz. So he's the weak hook here.
It's okay.
Because it's pure pass all the way, right?
Yeah, and fine.
It's fine. I mean, it's a nothing rep in either direction.
Yeah, they know that they know what they throw out. They how often do you see the Bengals throw that? They're just always doing shit like this, right?
I think you're right, but
unless it's Chaser.
Yeah.
But they're not really a 3-up target team. Could be way off from that, but from my hazy recollection. Again, that is technically good coverage, but in terms of the assignment ease, it's very, very easy.
Yeah, I mean, they in these clear pass situations, so it's his only nearly full snap game, right? And these passing situations, they effectively take him out of the play by having him do this.
They play him how you'd play a guy who couldn't, was limited in coverage either through movement or, movement challenges, slowing down a bit, or through just not having the coverage instincts or skills.
Right. And not, you can't fault him for not being Matt Milano, but it should be pointed out that they don't scheme this way when Matt Milano's on the field. Even with Edmonds, the guy they I think traded away, they used Edmonds as though he was capable of more than Dodson, and Edmonds was considered a disappointment too. So it's just to say, in watching his tape, it's like even if you think he could do X, Y, or Z, they don't ask him to. So it's hard to feel confident in saying that, well, in Seattle, he'll be able to handle all these coverage responsibilities. It's not been his game to this point.
Yep. Yep. This is a really cool rep RPO, but it's patience. So he has this B gap run fit. This guy has the A gap. It's a spread formation, so 6 gaps. We got 6 in the box. We're good. We're playing 3 bars to the 3, which is pretty cool. But this is very good patience. Of it'd be very easy just to fly down here and be like, "Look, I filled my gap. I'm in the run fit. I've done my job." But
yeah, I find
he
it
senses something is amiss.
I find it interesting that he clears the backfield better on RPOs than he does regular play action.
Is that just college football breaking our linebackers? They just don't see regular play action, so they know an RPO, but regular play action, they're
you
like,
might be
"Oh
right.
God."
But even like regular shotgun play action, he still gets sucked in. I don't know.
Oh, do they stunt the end here to make it easier on the B gap?
Yep.
Oh, I
Yeah,
love
they
that.
do.
I love stuff like that.
Little microeconomical things to make things easier. He has the formation indicators, so that's part of it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And even the motion indicator, like they love doing like bubbles and threes. What do you think of the Bengals offense?
It's pretty annoying.
Yeah, well, with how spread out it is, Griff, and like the propensity for a slot fade and like choice type routes.
Yeah.
I do wonder how similar the Ryan Grubb offense looks to this.
It's kind of like if the Grub offense didn't take advantage of deep pocket play action.
Right.
And for whatever reason, Burrow hates turning his back to the defense. That's why Zach Taylor kind of has his hands tied.
Right.
But so much relies on Chase winning, so much, and Higgins at his best.
Right. What on earth is this? Yeah, and luckily Geno Smith is pretty good at play action.
Right.
Yeah, I think Zach Taylor is quite easy to criticize Zach Taylor, but he is scheming for his QB.
Yeah, I've cooled off on my Zach Taylor criticism. His hands are tied a little bit just because of Joe's preferences. Obviously, I think he's willingly to tie his hands for Joe Burrow because he's still really good. Good rep from Dodson here, though.
Speed to power. Again, really good. Look at that base for striking.
Yeah, he does
Gets
have
under the pads.
He has low hips, low pads naturally. I mean, I have a comp for him. It's David Hawthorne.
Okay.
Bobby's predecessor. Kind of the stubby,
You know, I have a David Hawthorne jersey.
Do you really? That's awesome. I didn't know that.
It's random. Yeah.
Deep cut. Especially for a jersey.
It is. And it's in obviously, it's in a really gross,
the Nike
like
or
blue
the
jersey.
Reebok. Yeah.
To like white with like poo gray. But there you go. Okay, so now dropping out of the AA thing, which again McDonald will do. They know they're getting pass because the back's up.
Yep.
So it's cover 2, so you can't really. Is it?
It's pull runner here.
No.
It's inverted cover 2, I think.
Oh yeah.
So the corner's playing a deep half, and this guy's a curl. The safety's coming down to play the curl. And then 25 Dodson is closing off the middle of the field, but he doesn't get a vertical. Too bad, though. I actually remember this play now, hoping the slot ran a vertical just to see what would happen. But you can tell that Dodson is, granted, he's coming from a mug A-gap from the line of scrimmage, but he's hauling ass to get as much depth as possible. And he doesn't throttle down until he sees his seam throttle down.
Yeah. Good job
There is, just to contrast those. So he's covering the most dangerous route above all, right? Brooks would pace this out and he would defend the entire route tree. There's a play of Rondale Moore. I mean, even though Rondale Moore isn't that good, he runs a 4-3 and he's singled up with a linebacker, and Brooks paces every micro movement out and plays it honestly, just to compare and contrast. So if Dodson,
enough about Jordan Brooks.
well, just to show it about Dodson, though, if Dodson were to play this more honestly, he might have been able to contest.
Yeah, but the integrity of the call is the problem, right? Like we you know, if this was Chase, maybe he he is down at the line, so it's difficult. But they're trying to get like bodies on Chase, right? Like this, even this guy's worried about that, not that.
But I'm saying, but Dodson, though, he could have contested that shallow if he wasn't worried about getting.
He could have, yeah.
Are you saying, though, that Dodson's trying to get eyes on the number one receiver?
Yeah, I think he's okay, well, they might run this dig, and then I need to be here. Like, it's Jamar Chase.
True.
Huh. That's
fine.
Fine. Yeah, interesting. Well, I feel like we've missed the play.
I think I'm getting conflated. I think I'm messing up my memory. I think it's a Patriots game.
No, it's not. It's not. There's a really bad play. Oh, this is good though. This is nice. Pushing with the. So we're in cover 4 over here, right? Chat. So quarter, flat player, and then 3 receiver hook. So what is the 3 receiver hook? 1. Oh god, we've gone thin. We never want to be thin. Let's be nice and thick. Oh, that's too thick. Well, there's no such thing. Anyway, number 1, number 2, number 3. They are tight, right? They are to the short side of the field boundary, so it's basically a bunch. Like, they might as well all be lined up here, because meaning this guy can very quickly become the outside guy, this guy can very quickly become the inside guy, and this guy could very quickly run to the outside as well. So we all need to be on a string that we always want to play 4 over the 3 guys. So on the underneath level, if we get this guy go here, right, rather than me stay on this route here and get run off here and then give up this target here, I'm going to push with fast 3, and then I'm thinking, rather than me play on this guy here, which was the number 3, I'm going to push and replace this guy in the coverage. So if we play it out, you'll notice Dodson, as soon as 3 is flat like this, he gets his eyes to the first threat coming inside, which is, I think, this dude. Well, it is that guy initially, but they're running this and then this. So it's like a snag concept or spot or whatever you want to call it.
Mm-hmm.
And good push from, this is Bernard again, right?
Is it him?
No.
I think he was dinged up this game. That's why Dodson plays as much Mike as he does.
Right, and yeah, thank you, Griff. That's a good reminder. This is Mike stuff, right? Mike will, you could call this guy the nickel. That's the safety, right? But this is like middle of the defense, and often it's going to be the Mike who's handling the 3 receiver hook. So good pre-snap awareness of the formation, and then very good post-snap recognition and processing of bang, pass, 3's flat, eyes inside, push. Where's my inside threat? It's crazy how quick these guys play. Like it really is, just in general.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah. Quick game and choice. I do think he can be a competitive coverage player. Generally.
Yeah, so like gun drop back stuff. Wow, that's cool safety play here.
Yeah, that
You
is
think
actually.
that's Poya, right?
I don't know actually. Poyer is.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
21.
21. I
I
think
think
that
it
is.
is Poya.
I think
Yeah.
21 is Poyer.
Can Julian Love do this in a quarter? Not to pick on him. Maybe. We'll see. Anyway, watch Dodson's eyes here. Like it's so quick. Like the glance and then immediately knowing. That's very assignment correct. Understanding what they're gonna get, and then seeing it. So that's a real like positive example. We've definitely missed, I think, a play. But anyway. It's where he gives up the dig to chase inside Griff in the
Mm.
curl. Does that sound familiar to you?
Vaguely physical here against the guard.
Yep. Square, stout, not
Triggers pretty quick.
initiating contact. And that was like a criticism of Cody Barton, right? Now, he wasn't really he was often getting a guard come up to him here, which is a bit different, but people viewed him as poor in contact at the line of scrimmage. For all of his coverage ability.
I like that drop from Dodson.
Why?
Dropping the three's depth. I don't know. Maybe he's feeling it. Maybe he's not. And then starts melting to the boundary as soon as he sees. I mean,
The head turn.
The fact that he doesn't even melt to the field hash demonstrates that he's just reading the quarterback intentions because it is trips, right? So,
yeah. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, motion with man coverage on the back. Right, guess the passing concept, Griff. What do you think?
it's going to be cover one robber.
Oh,
So
the defense. So you think?
Wait. You want me to guess the pass offense? I'm gonna go like Haas hitch seam or Haas juke.
So it would be.
Actually, I don't know. With two off the ball.
Yeah, two off the ball is making me think here. That we're gonna get. Right.
Yeah. Okay. And then like stick front side.
Yeah, stick. Yeah. Something. Let's see. I think stick and then. Oh, nearly. Should have looked at the players.
So wait, it's choice. Okay, so it's a weak choice, and then
Basically,
it's
stick.
It's shock
Out.
at the bottom. It's inverted stick.
Yep. Which inverted stick, guys, is cool because you get that effect, but you still get your. It's basically Hoss Duke.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. That is a cool way to think of it.
Man, they could not separate against man coverage. Getting absolutely bottled in this game. Again, very, very easy assignment. Very easy assignment. But his body maintenance in these situations is interesting, how he's sort of turning and to wall the hip. I don't know if that's coached. Like, that's quite wild to open the gate that much because if he breaks back, you're then having to... Your hip is locked. You're fully flipped. That seems sort of overplaying a situation, which, again, McCaffrey, weird type of delay routes, that could be a thing. So this game might be slightly more positive than I remembered. Here it's like a wall assignment, right? They're sending the weak corner. He's walling the 2. It's pretty good playing coverage. Fine. Back of the mic. Yeah, so that... That's in... It's technically not him, right? So...
No.
It's the safety's really aggressive. But again, the Bengals don't really throw these.
So it's play action, but they're having both their linebackers zone it here. Maybe against shotgun play action, that's just the MO. And they have the hang defenders kind of but see, his eyes never even get to the field, because that would be the crosser or the post that he would need to worry about. The fact that he never even looks to the field, to me, is a little like weird. Like what does he even think his pass key is? Is he just...
Yeah, so guys, we've got post, hook, curl flat, which Griff, you had referring to as hang, right?
Yeah, just in this context, they open up, they sail,
they get under the deep out,
right?
And then this is a deep third. This is a deep third.
The overhang, right?
Technically, split flow. Technically, with the route distribution, where we get this, this or this, this guy is kind of the guy who should be looking back right here. You would think. He kind of does a bit late.
Yeah.
But Griff's point is Dodson never really looks here or feels this behind him. Now he's looking at the QB, I think, which obviously is influencing. But if the quarterback's looking hard here, then melt here. You've got this guy here.
Yeah, that too. I mean, he's probably thinking throwback, right? So that's probably why he doesn't open. But why isn't he? I don't know.
The end zone might be good.
It's just you get so few like real hook drops from him. When you see them, you want to show him, like, give some indication that you're trying to be proactive.
Yeah, that's pure eyes down here. There's no seeing that.
It's not relating to the route concept really at all.
No.
And that's my thing. It's just...
Ooh.
See, me thinking back to that snag play where he squeezed the number 2 really quickly, I do feel like that over aggression can come back to bite him in getting high load. Like if that corner route on that other play broke in, because you see that sometimes, I just feel like he can get high load a lot.
Meaning there's a route beneath him, there's a route over the top of him. He's going to take the low one and it's going to get thrown behind him.
Yeah.
So does he... Yeah, I'm really interested to see what his snap counts look like and against what opponents he gets more play. Oh, that's a cool concept. Like a half quarter, but with the this guy really looking for the stick route. Oh, wow. You might stuff like this. You might as well have blitzed here. .
Yeah, it's a fire zone, right?
Yeah.
So that said, if he's the middle hook, I mean, he's losing leverage on what's being passed off to him from the boundary.
Right. Misfit asking, how does going from the Buffalo Bills 4-3 to Seattle's new 3-4 McDonald defense affect your outlook of Dodson? Well, it's really important to note, Misfit, and we should have said it earlier. Now McDonald will probably have to run more 3-4 base stuff where it's going to look like an under front. There's 5 guys down at the line. There's like 3 guys off the ball. He'll probably have to do that more than he did last year, where he only did that 21% of the snaps. He was 79% nickel, and why I've mentioned all that is in nickel, the Ravens and McDonald in Seattle as well. He was always with Baltimore like a 4. It looks like a 4-3, so he's going to look very much like this Buffalo defense here. There's a lot of similarities with how Buffalo plays to how McDonald plays. There's real overlap. Obviously, McDonald can get a bit more exotic on the passing down to his pressure stuff, but like the core structure of like a 4-3 over, playing these 2 highs, the 3 techs to the strength, or this time they've set the strength to the field. They're not regarding that as a tight end. Might have said it to Chase, but 3 tech, nose, edge. The one difference actually is Buffalo seems to play with a shaded nose, and McDonald tends to play that nose more as a 2-eye on the inside shoulder of the guard, requiring the backers to be a bit more stack and then fullback, than just we all have a gap, let's hit our gap. Yeah. So basically, going from the Bills like 4-3 stuff to a 3-4, that's not a thing really, Misfit. I think more what helps Dodson is how McDonald will get him more advantageous blitz looks, because that's what his strength is. And good pressures. None of the Bills are bad at it, but like that's why McDonald got a job, because he was able to consistently stay multiple in how he blitzed, but also with rushing only 4 guys, right? It didn't come at the expense of coverage at all. Like it was like a Madden player, just running like nano pressures or whatever they call it, where they get banned on the game or nerfed because they're just too effective when, so. So I hope that answers your question, Misfit. Oh. Just pure looking at the QB.
Yeah, that's the thing, man. I mean, maybe the way he's coached, but then their other Mikes don't do this. Milano didn't do this. Bernard didn't do this. He's just pure. I mean, he's gaining some depth, but he's not getting any eyes on receivers. I just don't get it. It's just pure break on ball, like the most zone of zone techniques.
Again, super simple. It's actually embarrassing how the Bengals are playing against man coverage.
I know, dude.
What the hell? They're running zone beaters.
Yeah.
Playing, you're running like levels in bow. The hell? Yeah. He's running levels against man.
It's probably just what Burrow.
His wave throws.
Yeah. He's probably just
not. So let me make a play. Let me get out of the pocket and throw it up.
Nate Tice has talked about this before, but a lot of times when people are complaining about what an OC calls, a lot of the offense, and the percentage can change team to team. A lot of the offense is just because it's what the quarterback likes, and that's just what they're comfortable repping.
Yeah, it's
So,
what
you know,
they
it's
what
just
they can hit
yeah,
and execute in their sleep.
right. Like that human element is a huge part of game planning and play calling and stuff.
That's an interesting. Now they're in like the gimmick section of the offense. We've definitely cycled past this play, but at least I know. I think it was going in the other direction, so I think it's in the first quarter. So we'll go back and try find it. I've just seen how long we've been on air for. Look at us back with a long one.
That's pretty good coverage on the it's a scramble, but it
Quick
goes from
game.
stick into a stick nod instantly.
Yep. It's fine. Good movement.
Even though that was good coverage, that's not what's making his coverage grade. That he probably got graded on a 0 for that, or a neutral grade, because they have a -2 to +2 scale.
You're allowed to say that. You're gonna get taken out.
That's been known for a while.
Oh, has it?
Yeah.
Oh, they finally called. They finally got 7 rubbed slightly. Okay, yeah. I don't think we're gonna find the play. But anyway, there you go. This is good. This is a good last play to look at. So it's 6 offensive line, 13. Again, big duo type indicator, but they actually get like a pin pull type sweep. I mean, that's flowing outside and then
Or,
getting,
you're right.
getting downhill and then because he's thinking, oh my God, we're going to get big ass doubles here and they're going to press it and then bang. So I need to fill this gap hard downhill, get the doubles off, make them come up to me and fill my gap. Get the doubles off my linebackers because we're all coming downhill. We're blowing up this C gap. We got the bodies. Let's get to this point of attack. But they actually don't run duo. But to react in time, to see that guy's pulling and know, I'm not going to try and run through here. I need to get my butt outside to where the play's going, is impressive. Maybe slightly over the top with how far he goes. But, I mean, does he get on the tackle? Yeah, he wraps kind of. Yeah. So that's a good play. There's a good look at it from his perspective. Again, just the speed with NFL guys' key stuff is insane.
Yep. Agreed.
Okay, so that's Tyrel Dodson. Now, Griff, let's just real quick end on. We had this question. Brendan, we're going to cover the Boye Maffey interview with Chris Long in our next episode because there is some good stuff to talk about from that. Thank you. Nate asked about what is McDonald's defensive scheme. Well, he credited a number of guys, didn't he? But Todd Grantham is a big influence. Like who he was with at Georgia, Todd Grantham stuff. Then the Ravens guys, Rex Ryan, Wink Martindale, what he was doing. He's basically just streamlined that system, like language, vocabulary wise, and then how it gets signaled in. So it's like an amalgamation of the Ravens stuff, the Todd Grantham stuff, and then there's origins to this, like the double A gap stuff we've been looking at, which is like Jim Johnson, who McDonald credited in his opening presser when he was asked that question. Now, Monjombo asked, finally, I've got a question. Is the Vic Fangio defense still relevant? Seems like Vic himself hasn't had success in recent years, and Sean Desai and Clint Hurt have definitely struggled.
I mean, that depends on what is meant by the Vic Fangio defense. I mean, I think it's more that the Fangio group right now needs to just be more sound in their front structure, which means living in different areas of their playbook. They're overusing their nickel over front right now, especially with how they scheme the nose tackle and how they fit it. The lesson is you need killers up front to make it work, which goes for just about any scheme. You need.
But I think their front structure for stopping the run is not fit for purpose without those two guys. Like, I think it's very, very difficult to do it. I think particularly when it's coaches not called Vic Fangio doing it, they don't know how to get it done. But I also think and it's not just Fangio's system. I think these defenses were really, like the NFL defenses, they were super detailed on how to stop the run-in base stuff. Now, or they had a lot of experience getting it done and how they'd coached that with the coverages. And I think in nickel, they're running so much nickel now, but they hadn't quite adapted to how to sync the coverages with the run. And when I look at the Fangio stuff, the coverages with the fronts, it seems so disjointed. Like, it's all well and good saying, yeah, we're going to be playing the coverage and we want them to run the ball, but like there was like inherent flaws to how that was happening. So
yeah,
I honestly have I have question marks about they need to evolve. I really do think they need to evolve. And there was some stuff they do in how they play cover 3, which you'd think would be 8-man spacing, but they have 2 high safeties, so they play the front like they're in 7. They're 1 short, but they're sort of wasting the advantage of cover 3 because you should have 8 guys in there. That just seems like it seems like overkill to the pass, and then it causes problems down the line.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like any system. It needs players, but it also, when it's not the guy doing it, the originator is going to have some problems. But I think the biggest the separate issue to that, which I don't know if other defensive have, is I actually don't think it's that I don't think it's that sound in some of the ways it fits the run and stops the run. Compared to, say, what we've been saying about the Carroll Kiffin stuff or other systems. And there was something else I was going to say on it, and then I can't remember.
If they're gonna keep the structure as is, they need to change the post snap picture more often. Be willing to move the front more,
and that's
stop being static.
Yeah, it's very static, and I think they have lots of different calls, but they're all very kind of regimented in that call. It seems so siloed with, and it's hard to explain, but it's like overly segmented and static, I'd say.
Yeah.
And I've described it as soulless before because it's kind of just like, well, this is the call, and yeah. Anyway, thank you for the question, Monjobo. Right.
Indeed.
Griff, when are we next back? Tell them.
As soon as you watch Master and Commander, man, anytime. Just hit me up.
Yeah, we actually need to work that out. But chat, it's been great coming back. We're gonna try keep it regular. As I said, there's some stuff I need to hash out. Let us know which free agent you want us to break down next. Of course, it's training camp soon, but there are some other free agent signings to look at. I mean, Baker would be a good one. That being said, we might not see him in a bit, so maybe not. We also have the Boye Maffei interview to talk about, and then there'll be more Seahawks news. So until that point, thank you, everyone. I hope you have a great holiday, and you're safe and you're with people who are important to you. Griff, any closing wisdom, thoughts?
No.